think of someone better than Bobiwine from Uganda. For those who don't know him too well, let me give you a little background. Bobiwine, may I say his real name, although that might be a bit difficult for me to pronounce, is Kyagulanyi Zezentamu Robert. Bobi, is that more or less correct? I hope so. And he leads the National Unity Platform, that's Uganda's leading opposition party. He was elected to the Ugandan Parliament in 2017, and he started the People Power movement, through which he rallied young Ugandans to get involved in politics. And since then, he has been arrested numerous times, tortured, and subjected to other forms of humiliation. He was a presidential candidate in the most recent election in Uganda, an election described by most international observers as fraudulent, violent, and non-credible. As an artist, his music for close to 2 decades has mostly focused on social issues and social justice. Since 2018, he has been blocked from performing in Uganda. His music is considered a threat to the establishment. Bobiwine has also received numerous international awards, significantly the 2019 International Humanitarian Awards and the Africa Freedom Prize. Bobiwine represents a young and prominent voice of change that his country desperately needs. But this voice echoes throughout Africa and beyond. I'm very, very pleased that he has given us the honor to be here at this occasion tonight. And I ask you to welcome him with a large applause. Bobi, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I am honored to be here, ladies and gentlemen. What can I do? Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to jam for you this. I am here not alone, with my brother Nubian Lee, with my brother David Lewis, and all of you brothers and sisters. Being an artist and being an artist that is banned from performing in my country, every time I grab a microphone, before I speak anything, I want to sing something. And when I'm singing, I want to be next to my brother. Do we have a second microphone here? Come in, Nubian. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this brother of mine is from a different mother and a different father. This brother of mine, me and him met when we were still teenagers, and since then we've been doing music together. It is music that brought us together. This brother of mine is the one, together with my wife, who nominated me for president in 2021. And because of that crime that he committed by nominating me for president, he was arrested and spent 7 months in prison. His crime was supporting me. Ladies and gentlemen, another crime that he has is that he has one of the sweetest voices in the world. Allow me to jam with him. Come here, Nubian. This is for Uganda, for Africa, and for the world. Uganda. Uganda. You sleeping mama land. Wake up, wake up, hey. Wake up mama land. Whoa, whoa. Uganda, hey. Africa,
You're sleeping, mama land. Wake up, wake up, wake up, mama land.
Oh yeah, zenjagala tuwe Muwonge tona yenga tulowooza ng'abakulu. Twewale n'okukola obuyisa bw'abo abafuzi abajjudde omululu. Tuteme n'empende ezikuza eggwanga eppya erijjudde amabavu. Njagala okimanye mutima ffe Uganda ne Uganda yeffe. We are the country, we are the future, we are the change we badly need. We are the continent and the future and the change we badly need. We are the youngest population in the world, we stand a chance. We are the leaders of the future and the future is today. If we only come together, we can change our destiny. We are the continent and the future and the change we badly need. We are the youngest population in the world, we stand a chance. We are the leaders of the future and the future is today. If we only come together, we can change our destiny. Thank you. Big up on yourself, Rasta. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. A very good evening to you, our brothers and sisters. I want to thank FLRI and FNF for inviting me to speak at this very important event. I also want to thank the people of Senegal for hosting us in this very beautiful country. Ladies and gentlemen, in a very, very special way, I want to appreciate FNF Africa and indeed FNF everywhere in the world for the support and partnership that they continue to extend to various political parties and organizations working for liberal values. I am sure that without this support, we probably would not be seeing the light ahead of the tunnel. There will be more dark days. So FNF, thank you for the leadership and for the partnership. We don't take it for granted, and I thought it's important that you know that. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, but I also go by the stage name Bobiwine. Now that's his name that I got as a musician. Unfortunately, it overtook my real name, but I appreciate it nevertheless. I am the leader of the National Unity Platform political party in Uganda. I'm also the leader of the People Power Movement in Uganda. The People Power Movement, ladies and gentlemen, was found 4 years ago, and we found it to try and push for change in our country. We are a progressive movement committed to individual rights, civic liberties, and democratic governance in our country, and hopefully in the future, all over the continent and the rest of the world. I also want to use this opportunity to teach you, my friends, our slogan. When I say people power, you say our power. And when I say our power, you say people power. Okay, let's go. People power, our power, people power, our power. Thank you very much. Now you got that right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I'm very, very delighted to be here. I didn't mention that I'm also a musician and I head the Firebase crew. But yes, I'm glad to be here, ladies and gentlemen, speaking to young leaders and activists from all over the world. Young people that are committed to promoting civil rights, civil liberties, and liberal values. I can see a yearning for these values which we all share in you, ladies and gentlemen. And having had a chat with many of you, I am having a warm heart tonight. To find so many young people meeting not to discuss Manchester United or Arsenal, to find so many young people, ladies and gentlemen, meeting not to discuss where the next party is reason for us to have hope. So those that were thinking that the future of Africa and indeed the world is bleak, they need to think again. Those that have been preaching doom on the young people of Africa and the world need to think again, because the young people are rising to the occasion to make the world a better place. That is something that we must be very, very proud of. Ladies and gentlemen, the recent years, we've seen liberal values coming under attack. There's been a deliberate and sustained attack against democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. Friends, we meet at a time when the world's autocrats and dictators scattered across continents are getting more emboldened to carry out the most despicable acts against their citizens. We meet at a time when young political activists are being tortured, detained, and killed for speaking truth to power. We meet at a time, friends, when a mere switch can turn off social media during very critical times. We meet at a time when voices are being silenced, and silenced aggressively and mercilessly. We meet at a time, ladies and gentlemen, when several of our countries that used to defend democracy are backsliding steadily. We meet at a time when corruption in most countries is praised, when the corrupt are rewarded, and when the incorruptible are mocked. Friends, we meet at a time when more writers and poets, when more artists and activists and musicians are fleeing to exile, running away from governments that are unwilling to be criticized. We meet at a time when the influx of refugees escaping from war and hunger, be it Ukraine or the Democratic Republic of Congo, is very, very disturbing. We meet at a time when in most of our countries, the gap between the poor and the rich is getting wider and bigger. Not just because the rich are hardworking, no, but because many people out there have been aged out of production and leaving it for a few. We meet at a time, my brothers and sisters, when free speech is looked at as a threat by the powers that be. So, while I speak at this platform generally, I want you to know that personally, I am living that experience. I was born 40 years ago in Kamocha, a slum in Kampala, in Uganda. I grew up in that slum, and because there was not so much opportunity, I decided to become a musician. At the age of 17 years, I was already a household name. My music was being played everywhere. But what was I singing about? Girls, party, money, weed, and all that goes with it. I was only slapped or beaten into sense one day. This one day, ladies and gentlemen, I was walking out of a club at the height of my success as a musician, cruising a very expensive Cadillac Escalade and thinking that I had made it in life. And this young man walked to me, working from security organs. He slapped me and asked me, "Why are you showing off? Don't you know that this country has owners?" Now this was a rude reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that I was comfortable, deceitfully comfortable, and detached from the suffering of my fellow ghetto people where I had grown up from. I was with that young man called Nubian Lee. We didn't look at each other. We drove away. I dropped him at the studio and continued home. But that for me is a memory that will never go away. Anyway, fast forward. Our message for change was born. I decided that I will not just be singing about things that benefit me. I realized that my music was a voice that I had been misrepresenting. I realized that so many people had been going through what I had just experienced that night. And I realized that if I don't rise to the occasion to stop that, many other brothers and sisters would be going through that. So yes, since then our message for change did not stop. General Museveni, who had been in power, who is still in power since 1986, was not challenged. I got into politics, first ran for member of parliament, which I won, but it was not enough because parliament alone was disempowered. We needed to change things from the top. So that is when I decided that I would run for president. It is that rude reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that changed everything for me. It changed my music, and I decided that since then I would be singing about civil liberties, I would be singing about human rights and the freedoms that our people had been denied for so long. And therefore, I decided to join the many activists, to join the many forces of change that had been agitating for a better Uganda. Many of you must have seen a story one day when I was in Arua campaigning for one opposition candidate, and General Museveni decided that enough was enough. He could not take the criticism or the challenge anymore. I got attacked. I survived narrowly, but my driver did not survive. Just in a place where I had been sitting, my driver was shot dead, and I was detained in military detention, tortured, and all that. Fast forward, a presidential election came, and I ran for it. After having detained me, many of our supporters were killed, many were imprisoned, but we continued organizing and mobilization. Like I said, when I declared in 2021 that I was challenging Museveni, the regime was engulfed with fear. They used the COVID-19 excuse to stop us from campaigning, and yes, my entire team was arrested, including that my brother and singing partner, Nobian Lee. Between November 18th and 19th of 2020, hundreds of our supporters were killed in broad daylight. Now this happened when I was arrested, and they were protesting my illegal arrest when General Museveni was campaigning. Their crime was to protest against this injustice. General Museveni was going around holding rallies and meetings, and yet we were stopped. Young women, school children, market vendors, teachers, and many other innocent people were killed. And up to now, nobody among the murderers has ever been brought to justice. So scared to the teeth, General Museveni switched off the internet, blocked international election observers, and arrested many of my campaign team. I have traveled with one of my friends, like I said, Nobian Lee, who spent 7 months in prison. I was later placed under house arrest, and thousands of young men and women were picked up in the dead of the night and taken to torture chambers. Many of them have never been seen again. And, you know, I had to take my children out of the country because I learned that they were targeted too. What followed was what I like to call the most fraudulent, the most rigged election in the history of Uganda, and probably the history of the world. They simply declared General Museveni winner without quoting any results. In any case, they could not get the results because the internet, the electricity, and phone lines were switched off in Uganda. So General Museveni was declared winner without basis whatsoever. Ladies and gentlemen, I am giving you this experience not to project myself as a victim, no, but to tell you that you know, it is not easy to fight for freedom, especially in an authoritarian, you know, place like Uganda. I am giving you this experience to remind you of what we've been taught many times. For example, the great Mandela taught us that there's no easy walk to freedom anywhere in the world, and therefore Uganda is no exception whatsoever. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to remember that much as we advocate for good, the dictators of this world are not intending to go down without a fight. I'm glad to note, however, that even though so much evil has happened, that even though so many bad things have happened, so much has gone wrong, but so much at the same time has gone right. The resilience of people, for example, the people of Ukraine, an example which gives us strength amid this shelling, amid this constant bombing, gives us confidence. The resilience, yes, the resilience of many people in parts of Africa, the people of Congo, the people of South Sudan, the people of Central African Republic, how I wish they could get the same recognition and the same consideration as the rest of the world. Indeed, the world would be a better place. I'm encouraged by the young people who are designing applications to bypass repressive bans on social media to connect the communities. I believe this and more encourages and will continue to encourage people all over the world not to give up. The odds are many, but President Obama taught us that even amid these insurmountable odds, people who love their country can change it. People who love their continents, people who love the world can change it. These are lessons that we must take. Lessons that I beseech you to take, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as I conclude, I have 3 suggestions to make, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1, I want to encourage us to remain optimistic. Many times the future feels empty. Many times we feel like giving up. In cases like Uganda and many others, we feel like giving up. But we are reminded by the victories in the past. Just this afternoon, we went to the island. For the first time, I walked through the door of no return. It was known as the door of no return during slave days. I walked through the door of no return. I went, touched the water, and I walked back. I returned. So that was defeated, ladies and gentlemen. Slavery was defeated. Colonialism was defeated. The Berlin Wall came down. So we can defeat evil, ladies and gentlemen. I want to encourage all of us. Let's not give up. Let's keep going. The future is bright. Secondly, ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage us to continue doing what we can, especially we who promote liberal values. We should work as hard as possible. We should remember that those who work to promote evil work so hard. Only if we that want to promote good burn the midnight candle, work as hard as those that want to promote evil, we would be in a better place. We should not give up. What we are promoting is good, but we should promote it aggressively, well knowing that those who promote evil are promoting it aggressively. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage us to build synergies, to connect like-minded people. I want to remind you that despots, dictators, and evil people are working together. If you look closely, you will realize that dictators work so closely together. They look out for each other. They defend each other. They are each other's keepers. We should do the same. We should not suffer in isolation. The great Dr. Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So, you know, dictatorship anyway is a threat to democracy everywhere. It doesn't matter. It does not matter where you are. If you know of a dictatorship, no matter how physically far it is from you, but if you only know about it, then it is close to you. We who want to promote good should connect, work together, and be each other's keeper. In brief, we should be united forces of change, united forces of good, united forces of positivity, and indeed united forces of promoting liberal values. I thank you for listening to me, ladies and gentlemen. And like I said, thank you very much. And like I said, every time I get hold of this microphone, I want to speak, but I want to sing as well. So allow me invite my brother Nubian. Allow me to invite my brother Nubian so he can jam this for you. When you speak to a heart, they understand, but when you sing to a heart, they feel. Like I said, let us be united forces of change. We should be united forces of change. The only way to get the freedom we want. United forces of change. The all of us must come together as one now. United forces of change. The only way to promote all the liberal values. United forces of change. All of us work together as one. Our people complaining night and day. They wonder why they continue to live this way. But I know that things can change someday. If we really want them to change anyway. Africa is a land of abundance, but the Africans living in deficiency. Some leaders want like presidency. We must abandon that silly tendency. Africa rich, but the Africans poor because the leaders they want in power. Africa rich, but some Africans poor because the leaders them drunk on power. They run nation like family affair. The citizens suffer, but they don't care. Boom. United forces of change. The only way to get the freedom we want. United forces of change. They all of us work together as one. So listen, whether you are white man, whether you are black man, whether you are Chinese or you are Indiana, whether you are Christian, whether you are Muslim, whether you are culture or you are Rasta. Thank you. Thank you.